in resonance of a song in C clef, primarily the celebratory clef, to merrily ask to lend me your ears, verily to a G major. Ghana Muntie, Ghana Muntie, Ghana Muntie. Memories don't fade when history is played. Here's a time characterized by the musings of the tide, somber lessons of our pride. Some 65 years ago birthed our independence, seemingly into post-dependence. I ask, emancipation from colonial rule, denunciation from oppressive rule, from the Gold Coast to Ghana, legacies linked to the ruins of medieval Timbuktu, the powerful ancient empire whose kings, queens, and warriors travailed, traversed, triumphed, that we may today be born, flamboyantly adorned in freedom, on the land, our kingdom, so endowed, impregnated with gold, diamonds, bauxite, oil and gas, manganese, aluminium, and lately lithium, amongst an endless array of blessings upon us. Whether we found blessings or blessings found us, we live in glory to his glory, to glorify his holy name in glory for his unspeakable blessings upon us. Yet we question, how blessed are we from these resources? Regardless, today we salute, we celebrate the trailblazers, remembering our forefathers whose blood, sweat, and toil freed us from oppressors' rule, setting the pace to our A's, freedom and justice for all. Today, we remember the gallant Nanaya Santua, Boykotene Ni Kobna Boni. We throw back in remembrance of Sergeant Cornelius Francis Ajete, Corporal Patrick Gabale Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte, the martyrs of the 1948 riots. We do not forget the educationist, Dr. James Eman Kwejiri Agri, the merchant George Alfred Pargrant, the learned Joseph Kwame Chirichie Buachedankwa, and the rest of the patriotic Big Six, amongst a host of other national heroes and heroines. We remember Kwame Nkrumah, our founding father, the torchbearer, who declared at the old polo grounds on that fateful 6th of March 1957 that our independence was meaningless unless linked to the total liberation of the African continent. Today, Africa is geographically and demographically liberated, but how free is our freedom when it is felt that we
Hello, good evening and welcome to Spotlight. My name is Nwong Falog. How free is our freedom? Kwame Nkrumah said our independence is meaningless until it is linked to the total liberation of Africa. But have we totally liberated ourselves yet? This is a huge question we're asking tonight in a very interesting Independence edition of Spotlight. As we go into the Independence weekend, I am joined by several young people to discuss exactly what the independence of Ghana means to them. And we're going to have a very spirited conversation here this evening. Please join in. We'll go for a quick break. And when we come back, I'll introduce you to our panelists and also to a few Ghanaians and what they have to say about our independence. We'll be right back.
East Legon. March is here, and on MX24, it's GH Month. As part of the month-long activities to celebrate exceptional Ghanaian products and services, we're organizing a 2-day pop-up shop and sales exhibition, the Ghana Independence Fair, happening on the 26th and 27th of March 2022 at MX24, Silicon Square, Boundary Road, East Legon. It'll be 2 days of sales exhibitions, workshops, pitch sessions, a food fair, and open-air concert. Get your stand now. Exhibit and benefit from a month-long exclusive promotional package for Ghanaian-owned businesses. Visit mx24online.com to register your business now. You can also call 055 0500 555 or 024 235 5956. The Ghana Independence Fair on the 26th and 27th of March. Buy Ghana to grow Ghana.
Get your hands up! Get your hands up! Get your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Turn down for what?
Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, make a see, take a picture.
In the leg book, boah, 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 boah.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say. Shake your body.
Welcome back to Spotlight. Before we went on the break, I asked you a simple question. What does being Ghanaian mean to you? What does the independence of Ghana mean to you, inspire in you? I'm going to be speaking with Isaac Abua, who's in the studio with me. He's an entrepreneur. I'm also going to be speaking with Worship Frimpong, who is co-founder of Adani Chemist. He's also going to join us in the studio shortly. Adam Vine Tutu, he's the GIJ SRC Wocom. He's going to be joining us on Zoom. We also have Amtu Ekumfi Ameyao. She's from the University Students Association of Ghana, USAG. She's their Women's Commissioner. And we're going to be speaking with her too about what independence means to them. They are going to be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, we went onto the streets to speak with some Ghanaians and we put to them the same question. Take a listen.
Being a Ghanaian, it means like so much to me because as a Ghanaian, we have many we are very, very democratic. Like some countries are not, but we are free that we have like a democratic countries. And we gained independence on the 6th of March 1957 by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the late founder of UCC.
I'm a patriotic Ghanaian because Ghana is a blessed country, and at the end of the day, being a patriotic will speed up the development of the country. For all I know, it took the effort of President Kwame, the first president of the Republic of Ghana, that's Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, JB Dankwa, the Kufuor and those stuff to start this thing or to fight for the independence of this country.
Yeah. It feels good to be a Ghanaian, yeah, because some people have really fought hard for we to have the present Ghana we have. And so if I am a beneficiary of it, then yeah.
I'm actually, I would say, I wouldn't really say I'm fully proud of being a Ghanaian, because right now looking at our culture and then everything, our economy, you can't say that you're proud of being a Ghanaian now, but then at first you can say that, oh, I'm proud of my country because I have gold, I have cocoa, I have a lot of things, and also our culture too. But right now we are adopting the Western kind of culture, so it's making our culture fade away. Stay here in Ghana or travel outside. Let's be realistic. I'm being realistic and being frank. I would travel outside. Yes, I mean, there's nothing here. We are suffering, seriously. We are suffering. There's nothing here that you can boast of. We are all trying to, work hard and then move out of the country, because you feel like there are greener pastures outside the country than being here. I know it was Kwame Nkrumah that saved us or gave us independence, helped us in gaining independence from our British, and then also there has been some military ruling.
I think being a Ghanaian is something everyone should hold on dear to. It's a virtue everyone should be very proud of. I mean, being in Ghana is something you should hold to your heart. We are in a country with different tribes, different people, and people who appreciate one another. So for patriotism, I think patriotism has to be being a committed citizen, serving the country. And for me, being patriotic means that I'm following the right things in the country, or I'm serving my country with a full heart or with commitment and a dear heart. I won't lie, if you give me a visa today, I'm leaving the country. Maybe because of the few economy issues that we keep hearing, and then the few brouhahas there and there. But personally for me, if you give me a visa, I'm ready to leave the country.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. I pledge myself to the service of Ghana with all my strength and with all my heart. I forgot to know. I pledge myself to hold in high esteem.
There's a homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Sorry. Oh, hey, I'm going to defend forever the cause and freedom. With our hearts, with you, humility, make us fearless, cherish honesty, and help us to resist oppressors with all our love and might forevermore.
God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong, both to defend forever the cause of freedom and of rights. Fill our hearts with true humility, make us fearless, cherish honesty, and help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our will, with all our hearts, minds forevermore. Amen. God bless the homeland Ghana and make okay, let me start. God bless the homeland Ghana. Yes, and make our nation great and strong, both to defend forever the cause of freedom and of right. Fill our hearts with true humility, make us cherish fearless honesty, and help us to resist oppressors. So with all our will and my forevermore.
Amazing. I may not be able to do that. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make us great and strong, both to defend forever with all and unity, something with unity.
Welcome back to Spotlight. Those were some interesting submissions. I am one of those people who believe in blooming where you are planted. I believe that my future, my prosperity is right here in Ghana. And I'm one of those people, if you hand me a visa and tell me to go to a different country and live there and never come back, I will not go. I will visit, but I will come back to Ghana, because this is where my roots are, this is where I have established myself, and this is where I intend to grow. I believe that we have to build the Ghana that we want to inhabit. If at least we can't build the Ghana we want to inhabit, we have to build the Ghana we want our children to inhabit. And if we all run away, who's going to build it? So I'll come to my guests, though, because I want to find out what they think. Of course, my opinion is highly debatable by different people. But Isaac Abua is here in the studio. Worship Frimpong is still on his way. Adam Vine Tutu, who's the president of the SRC at GIJ, is on Zoom. We also have Amtu Ekumfi Ameyao, University Students Association of Ghana, USAG Women's Commissioner, joining us on Zoom. So I'm going to say, lady and gentlemen, good evening. And thank you for joining us on Spotlight. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Adam. How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm very well. Adam happens to be one of my proteges from years back. Is Amtu on the line yet? Good. We'll be linking up with Amtu shortly as we work on the line there. But let me come into the studio where Isaac, welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's not your first time on Spotlight.
Yes.
Yes, we switched.
I'm not on MX24.
Ah, right. Because I remember that must have been on the news. What does it mean to you to begin here? First, if we give you a visa and say,
no, I'm not.
You won't leave?
I'm trying to build a startup in Ghana.
Okay.
And I hope that I'm building a product that can go to the world. But to your question, what does it mean to be a Ghanaian? I think that you have to have an understanding of the historical imperative that led us to what we are now as a country, the independence that we have, right? Being a Ghanaian is a unique opportunity to be part of a, what would I say, spiritual and uniquely placed ancestry of great inheritance, of great invention, right?
Don't you think all countries say the same thing? They are unique.
You can't necessarily say that about all countries. I mean, this goes way back to one of the biggest empires ever.
Okay.
You know, old Ghana, empire, etc. Connecting those kind of roots, the people that have come here, Ghana being the torchbearer of African independence. Not everyone can say that, you know. Black Africa basically got independence from colonial rule because of the advocacy, and firstly because of Kwame Nkrumah and the others, right? So Ghana is uniquely placed in that regard, and so two things in our two words that recur forever, right, in our national anthem. Both to defend forever and forever. Exactly. So there is a forever commitment that we are making every day to stay and to build and to become fearlessly honest. That is our commitment to our country, and I will not exchange that.
You sound like you'd have been a freedom fighter if you were alive back in the day.
Yeah.
let me stop you on that. Of course, I'll come back with more questions, but let me go to Edem because I want to hear what he has to say. Edem, what does Ghana inspire in you? What does our independence mean to you?
Well, I think that the independence of Ghana means a lot to me as a young boy. And as somebody who's a leader in my own small space. It's a great experience. We've read stories about how far we've come. I think every day we see development. So we are not really satisfied with where we are, but thank God.
Adam, if I give you a visa and ask you, would you like to leave Ghana, go live somewhere else and make your life there, would you go?
Well, I think that maybe I'll go and visit, but the thought of leaving Ghana forever is a bit wild.
Well, forever is a long time. Maybe you leave, you go for 10 years, 20 years and come back. I mean, you would go.
10 years, let's be honest. Looking at the conditions around, a visa for 10 years, gladly. I'll go and better myself and I'll come back.
What makes you think you can better yourself in Ghana?
Well, given the circumstances in this country, I'm in my final year at the university now.
Okay.
I'll be a graduate, and when I look at the number of graduates who are unemployed, and I look at the fact the economy of this country is taking a downward spiral. I mean, it scares me. It scares me because I ask a lot of questions. Is there enough space for me to grow as an individual, as somebody who wants to succeed and pick or bring my friends and my family along with me. Are the conditions right for such a person? People would argue that there's entrepreneurship, but I think that sometimes we need to face the truth. Not everybody can be an owner of a startup. Not anybody can grow a one-man business or a self. Some people are built to work in different environments. So I think that Ghana does not necessarily at this point give enough room for growth for young people.
Interesting. I think there are a lot of people who share your sentiments. I mean, there are some aspects of it that I agree with. It's not the most ideal environment. There's unemployment and economic issues that make you feel limited in fully showing your potential. But of course, there's no country without issues. Let me go to Amtu. Hopefully her line is better now. Hello, Amtu, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, please, I can hear you. Good evening.
Fantastic. Good evening. I was just asking these gentlemen, what does Ghana's independence mean to you?
I think it implies a lot of progress. I mean, we've come a long way from colonial rule to a time, we've had so many filters, and then this is like the longest lasting republic. We've had like 2 turnovers and all that. So I think it implies progress for me from the point of view of someone who read political science. It implies a lot of progress. That notwithstanding, I really acknowledge the fact that we have a lot of shortfalls, and it's not too much of a very conducive environment for people who want to see, as it were, like fast tracking progress in like their individual businesses, and then for the youth and all that. But indeed, overall it implies progress.
Do you feel safe and supported as a woman in Ghana?
I think that I would say we've come a long way. I won't say that it's the ideal situation of being safe or having the most conducive space as a woman who wants to progress and then play on the same field with the men. But it's a lot better because now, even though it's not something to really brag about, that we have just 40 women out of 275 members of parliament. At least we have something. Some republics before, we had some that was just no woman to 1 to 2, and then now we have a lot of female CEOs, deputy CEOs, and government officials, those that work in the presidency and all. So it's I can say that it's a lot of progress. It's not the safest, but then it's a good progress.
I hope you listened to Adam's submission. He mentioned a few issues. Unemployment.
Yes, he was saying that if he gets 10 years, he's going to gladly take it because he feels that he can go and better himself.
Would you go?
I don't know if.
Hey, you're not sure whether you go or not.
Okay, I think I'm on your point of view that we want to do a vacation, because I feel that Africa is a very, very, very safe place. So should I say Ghana is a very, very, very safe place?
Right.
So I am one of the people that want to do a vacation and then come back to Ghana. I'm not one of those people that want to go and stay away and things like that. Yeah.
But do you share his concerns about unemployment and economic problems?
Yes, indeed. Indeed, nobody would dispute the fact that it exists in our country and it exists in other African countries. It exists all around the world, especially after COVID hit everybody. But I do not think that's a reason why I have to run away. So if I run away and then I come back to 10 years later and then Ghana doesn't exist, I'm sure you would want to blame yourself partly for what has happened.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I'm going to come back to you shortly, but I'm coming back to Isaac Abua, who happens to be an entrepreneur. Isaac, what do you work on?
So I'm building a mobility startup. What it's trying to do is to make sure that we digitize public transportation in Ghana. You know, we have chaos on our roads with the transport,
Yeah, the trotros
and all of that. Make sure that if you wanted to move from your house to go to a location, you could just use a mobile app to order a ride, know exactly the car is coming from, what time it is, and get them paid.
This is something that other countries have.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, I went to London in 2019, and when I went there, that was not the first time I was traveling, but particularly in London, right? Public transportation from the subway and all of that, everything makes
even
easy.
the bus. You can tell from your phone which bus is going
I
where.
was just inspired to see that kind of transformation. And since then, that idea has been here, and I'm just trying to make sure. But I'm also doing other things. I'm a very problem-oriented person. That is why I believe that we should find ways to build. I understand there are a lot of lapses in the system, but there was no place in history, any country that you could go back in time to, that they didn't have these structural problems.
But these lapses also give you an opportunity to find solutions.
Exactly. So it's all about, you know, how I think about problems is to look at them as opportunities, like you are saying. But then what people don't have is the kind of orientation to look at those things as opportunities and the skill set to be able to think through the problems and create solutions that are workable. Because the reason why, I mean, we are on a global platform now, like the world is a global stage. So I don't mind Adam going to Goldman Sachs and going to work. Actually, it's a great opportunity for him. He comes with a lot of experience that could be beneficial to say.
There are many Ghanaians who work there and come back here.
Exactly. However, you would never become a billionaire if you were working at Goldman Sachs. Never.
Really?
Yes. How many people are at Goldman Sachs and working at a billionaire? However, you could stay here, find a problem that exists, because Africa is not a country, but we have all this multiplicity of problems across, right? And build something that could be scalable across the continent, perhaps the world, and become a billionaire. I'm not saying becoming a billionaire is the ultimate. However, I'm just showing you the variances that exist in the opportunities, right? That don't exist, because there are opportunities in America, etc., but those opportunities are not necessarily for the taking for foreigners, to be honest. This is where we are, and we should make the best out of it.
So the most poignant statement that Nkrumah made is that our independence is meaningless until it is linked to a total liberation of Africa. You're talking about creating solutions that solve problems in Ghana and then become a like African solution, global solution. Do you think our independence is linked to other African countries?
I mean, from the very start, you know, check the dates at which other African countries. So Nkrumah was true to it. I mean, Nkrumah obviously has a lot of questions around himself too. However, Nigeria got their independence, right? Senegal, all these other countries, eventually people like Mugabe of blessed memory also has a lot of question marks, but came here to Ghana, studied, saw what was happening in the liberation movement and was inspired. So Ghana has continually become a trailblazing component of Africa's liberation. Now we are talking about things like the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is solely linked to the idea of being, you know, a unionized Africa, well, economically as a bloc, and who's leading the trail on that? Ghana is. So Ghana does have a lot of these things, right? But what I want the young people to understand is that what is happening in Ukraine, for example, tells us that no matter what happens, the world is built around classes, right? Your family exists, your family unit, your community unit exists, your townships, it grows to become the country. And eventually, you are going to find yourself in a certain class, and that is the reality of life. The class that you are that accepts you is the one that you want to be in. We see, for example, that people are there, people are going through all these chaos, but there is discrimination, not necessarily, and again, discrimination is a horrible thing, right? However, I would perhaps want to choose my sister at the point of death than I would choose a stranger. It's a human feeling, and I would want to save a Ghanaian perhaps before I save a white man. It is a human feeling. That is why we should allow that kind of human resonation that naturally exists to link us back to a community and to where we come from, because we have nowhere to go, to be honest.
Now, every year during independence, there's one simple way that we celebrate. There's always a parade every single year. Is this, do you consider this the ultimate expression of our freedom?
That's a very good question. I like the idea of symbolism, which is what the parades are for, like all these things that we do, right? But it's high time that we move beyond that and have conversations like this. Ghana lacks public conversation and engagement. What we do on radio, and we are shouting at each other based on political lines, we need to stop. we need to have conversations about our future. Allow young people like myself, like the people on the call, I'm to add them, to come at a certain table. And we need to find a way that we fast track those conversations to action, right? And we go beyond the parties, which are great symbolisms that we need to observe for the sake. But we need to start making conversations, and we need to make the conversations public so that everybody feels like they're ahead. The ordinary Ghanaian doesn't feel like they're ahead. E-Levy, for example, right? We had to talk and talk and talk before the conversation started becoming more connected. And that is what we need to do. That is what our commitment to forever being fearlessly honest is, right? To be able to speak to authority, because we know that authority demands us to be responsible. We have rights, the rights give us duties. Part of that duty is to make sure that we are questioning authority, to speak, right? So that when we have things that are working against the ordinary Ghanaian, we'll be able to say, no, we don't want this. And that is part of the democratical process. It might not necessarily go on our way on our political lines, but are we being honest is how we should be evaluating ourselves. And as far as we are being honest, progress is going to happen, because we are going to reject things that are against the ideal of Ghana. We are going to forever progress the ideal that we want, as you said, trying to build the Ghana that we want in the future.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying, conversations that make young people heard, that include young people in governance, ultimately.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, Adam, do you share his sentiments? What would be the best expression of our freedom on days such as independence? What activities, what events do we need to mark independence that would make sense to you?
Well, I think that we need to properly gauge and retell our stories. I side with him when he says that we need to move on from the parades. And I've been a big critic of the parades. My point is that what is the essence of all those parades of children marching in the sun, of people doing week-long training just to come and show their marching skills, if we cannot live, or if we cannot continue the reason why our independence was got for us in the first place? Look, if you listen to Kwame Nkrumah on the day of independence, the words that he used were words of intrinsic value. What have we done to interrogate these words? Example, he says that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked to Africa. Today, there are coups all over in Africa, there are wars in Africa. What is Ghana's position on all these economic situations? How are we positioning ourselves to continue to be the beacon of light and democracy in sub-Saharan Africa? For me, I think that that's how we should really celebrate our independence. If we are able to tell positive stories of our growth every 10 years, every 5 years, people know where we've come from. They know that, look, this is a country that's growing, and they'll be able to picture where we are going to. But if we just march and we just go home and sleep, it just becomes sort of something that just must be done to represent something. There's no real value for what we do. And I think that even for our young people, it's the same thing. If you listen to the words in the national anthem, in the national pledge, I've always said that if we were paying critical attention to those words, we wouldn't do some of the things we do. But I've said it so many times that it has just become sort of a mantra. People don't care, or people don't hold value to the things that are being said in the pledge whenever they are saying them. That's why I think that this country has not really cut it when it comes to our independence. I mean, 60-something years from independence, we don't really have a lot to show for it.
When you think about the founding of Ghana and how the country began, lately there's been a lot of different conversations about a founding father, founding fathers. Who comes to your mind? Is it founding fathers? Is it a founding father? And how do you explain your thought?
No, I'm a big fan of giving what is Caesar's to Caesar and giving what is God's to God. If I know, Kwame Nkrumah played a key role in getting this country's independence, and that's history that so many people share. It's history that so many people relate to. It's history that the world books to relate to, African books to relate to. why then are we changing the story 60 years after independence? For me, I don't think it cuts it. I'll give it to Kwame Nkrumah because there's something that I always used to ask. For the other people who are saying that we should all be celebrated or it should be a Founders Day, what's the contribution? What can they put forward and say, because of this and this and this, I think that they should celebrate it. We are talking about a man who had to come down all the way from where he was and literally even go to jail just to make sure that the independence of this country was attained. Eh, we are talking about someone who's gone through so much hardship just to make sure that this country of ours is free. Unless the other people in contention have a similar story or have a similar point of call, that is the kind of sacrifices they had. I don't think I don't think we should be even battling about how many founders we have or whatnot.
Let me
I think we
find
should
out.
stick and stick.
Let me find out if Amtu feels the same. Adam thinks, there's one central figure. Yes, but the argument is that that central figure could not have done it all by himself. Of course, there was a whole team of support behind him. Should we be giving recognition to the entire team? Amtu, if you can hear me.
I'm so sorry. I was speaking, but I forgot to unmute myself.
Right.
So I think I also side with the fact that there's indeed like a central figure and all that, and then there's most definitely people that like supported and all that. The only contention I have is the same with what Adam said, is the same history states that all of these people also went to the same jail process. I think that when we are trying to have like the argument, and we bring in like, okay, and then they went to jail and things like that, all of them went to jail. So I don't think that should be it. But then at the end of the day, we have a president of Ghana who delivers, right? But when individual like sectors do things, we give like the credit to the president because we assume that he's like at the time he's the person championing it. So it doesn't mean that we do not recognize who the team is or whoever in like the individuals that supported the outcome, right? So I am of the view that indeed if somebody is like the central person and then the person went through like the whole procedure, finally, I mean, to like achieve it for us. I that's who the person is. But I don't also want to take away the fact that somebody believes that like their team should be celebrated, because I'm sure that you know that like as a team lead or as like a team player, you should have to also like acknowledge. So that's why you see that some people have issues with a certain leader who doesn't want to acknowledge that, okay, I am leading and we achieve this, but then I also take into consideration the fact that I mean I had like a team that helped me to like achieve this. So I believe that like I'm a bit on both of the sides. Because everybody has like their own like as it were their own points of views and things that they hold, that they back their arguments with. But I'm not going to be on the side of someone that just goes to say that, okay, one person went to jail. At the end of the day, every single person went to jail. Some people even had to die in jail. So if you didn't die in jail and then you came out, I don't know if you get what I mean. Somebody can make a very petty argument that at the end of the day, you successfully came out. When you came out, you didn't even decide to mind the rest of the people. So then you are the mean person. So I think if you toe that line, it becomes a little bit sentimental. But then if you objectively say that indeed somebody took center stage and decided to like push it forward and make sure that even though you got me from somewhere and asked me to do some specific things, and I thought you were being too slow about it, I fast-tracked it and made that happen. And it's also just a nice thing to have the person also see that, okay, so then I still appreciate that somebody gave me the opportunity to like do all those things that I did. Yeah.
If you had your way, how would you celebrate Ghana's independence?
Unfortunately, I never did any of the march passes, like any of the parades. So I cannot share my experience from that, but I really believe in symbolism as well. I think my brother's point of view that value has to be attached to what is being done. I sincerely uphold that. I share in that as well. But then I think that it does not take away the part of symbolism, because, for example, even with the what's the name, the Poppy celebration, where, should I say, servicemen from around the world who were part of the Royal Armies, Navy, and all of that went to war. Yes, we celebrate them for like a whole month, even though like it's an actual, like a specific day, and like it's in November, where they were like the poppy and all that. It's symbolism. It doesn't take away the fact that maybe they do not have mistakes, or they are still striving to achieve something. But then I feel that symbolism exists because you want to remind people of what happens in the use of symbolism in literature. It doesn't mean that there are other things that do not exist that can make a thing happen. But then symbolism is used because you want to communicate a particular message. So you are using symbolism to emphasize the fact that things, and I don't think Ghana is the only place that does like parades and things like that, right? But I would share in my brother's opinion that we should have like more value after like 6th March, where we have all the beautiful speeches, we have all the beautiful promises of Ghana Beyond Aid and all of that. Indeed, like 3 years down the lane, can we see that we've been able to achieve everything? We know that it's impossible to achieve every single thing in, say, manifestos or speeches and things like that, but what is the direct value that we are getting for it? Have we achieved, say, 20%, 30%, 50%? But I don't think that the whole idea of symbolism should be scrapped off. Maybe the school children shouldn't be the sun, but we can allow like the servicemen, because the school children are very small and will be in the sun and will be dehydrated. I get that part. But I really feel that if it's coming from a place of symbolism, it should exist. And we should look at the point of view where we want to be recognized for value. So aside, after 6th March, indeed, there should be something that tells that not just about the fact that democracy and peace still exist after 65 years in 4 republics, right? There should be actual value for the independence.
Very, very interesting too. So much to unpack there. When you sit back and you look at the entire country, what are the ways in which you think Ghana has excelled?
I think for representation, right? I think for representation, we've come a long way from places where we didn't have like a lot of female inclusion, a lot of youth participation and things like that. I think we have come a long way from where we had ministers come right out of university, becoming deputy ministers. Right now, we have like it's like we have like 10 CEOs, we have like, say, 8 of them being under 40, like all of those kind. I think it's amazing. It's those kind of things, because whether you like it or not, representation is a form of symbolism. As a young person, I would know that I'm going to be able to achieve some things that I dream of, and it's not just a mere dream because I have somebody I can directly look up to. It's not like an idol somewhere far away in the Americas, but it's right here. And one thing about representation is when it's very close to you, it's easily achievable for whoever is looking up to that person and seeing that they can achieve it. So I think those are some of the things. Infrastructure-wise, I have an issue with the fact that when you look at some pictures of like Accra, for example, and you look at some pictures of Kumasi, for example, and then you look at the current state, there's like so much crowded places and all of that. But then I think that also comes to the migration that's happening, because we are not able to decentralize our should I say our progress or our development. I think that part is a little slow, or maybe too slow. The decentralization of progress and development is a little too slow. So you have people moving all the way from the hinterlands to come to like their major cities. But if we are putting maybe say more effort into doing development into the hinterlands, we're going to be able to manage like the population, transfer of diseases, rape cases, all of that in the cities. Overall, once again, I'll just emphasize that I really appreciate the fact that we've gone a long way with inclusion and participation of youth and women.
Interesting that you hammer again on that, because I disagree strongly on progress in inclusion, but that's a whole lecture that will take us down.
Yes, I do not dispute the fact that we have a lot of gap. Yeah. Say, for example, we want to see that youth are not just like CEOs. We want to see them as, say, foreign minister. We want to see them as education minister. We have issues with that. But then coming from a place where we literally had nothing, right? We
I
didn't have
understand your
inclusion
point.
at all.
I understand your point
Then,
because it's not like we don't have anything at all. There is some amount of representation. But from my lens, we haven't progressed. It's like we have rather regressed with representation because, and I'll go back to probably 1960. Ghana was one of the first countries to ever start inclusion, especially where women are concerned. This was started by Kwame Nkrumah. And since then, you would expect rapid progress. No country had started affirmative action then. And then somehow, so many countries have come to overtake us. And we're still marking time.
So I have my grandmother always saying that, oh, Malaysia, we gained with them, and then they even came for palm nut oil from Ghana, and then look at where they are and things like that. So I really share in that, but I'll just emphasize. I think I'll look at it from the point of view of like recent republics, right? When our republic started, you can state that even in the first turnover of governance, right, where we had president before, we didn't have too much youth inclusion. We probably had female inclusion because that's when even the Ministry of Women and Children was established. We had female inclusion, but we did not have youth inclusion. Maybe towards the end of his administration, we had some level of inclusion looking at 40s and all of that. But now we have people, like I use Honorable Kujeto as an example, someone that comes out of the university for like, say, just 3 to 4 years or 5, and then you see that the person is Deputy Minister for Education. And I mean, you are saying that, okay, that's somebody that just like finished my school. That's somebody that is just like a few years ahead of me. And then the person is making like an important decision on something as crucial as education. Now you have a CEO that's young, that's making a decision
so that's inspiring
important
for you, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you again. But
yes, please.
Isaac, do you share her sentiments? Has Ghana progressed in inclusion of women, of the youth especially? Is that?
I think that we still have a long way to go, right, when it comes to youth inclusion.
What have we done right?
We have, I think one of the things that Ghana does best is setting out the skeletons. It's just filling it with flesh. That is it. That's, yeah, seriously. Because we have all these
So we
bodies.
always set the frame.
Yeah, we are good at setting frameworks. When you do a lot of reading, for example, reading around the problem I'm trying to solve when it comes to mobility transportation, you see that Ghana has collaborated with the World Bank, with the UN Environment, all of that, and they've built all of these frameworks, attended a lot of these workshops. Nothing has been done, right? So we have the Youth Authority, we have that, and all of that. The Youth Authority is one of those institutions, for example, where I have never seen a youth, especially when you say youth are being people under 35, man. That's kind of ironic in my perspective. If you're going to see that and if you go there, this is not to slam them, right? I'm actually saying from a critical point of view, if you're saying you're building a youth authority, you're going to have a youth orientation.
So you want to see more young people in such institutions that promote the youth.
So there are project directors there, right? Those positions are non-political. Some of them have been there for a long time. There is, in my estimation, an average of about 45 there.
The age. Okay.
That is not youth representation, right? So we need to find people there. If we are going to have those institutions existing, as I'm saying, let's not build the skeletons and make them stand as hallmarks of something that is supposed to be done. And yet, if you look inward, it's not the same picture you are seeing, right? So we built a lot of these structures, women, gender, all of that, right? So the question is, what are, for me, from a very analytical point of view, what are the goals of those organizations? How are we marking them to those goals of the organization? I would like to see a youth minister come out and say, for my term of office, after all of the political hullabaloo, I want to do A, B, and C, right? And say that after every year, this is what I did, this is how much youth are into my offices. This is how we've increased inclusion in sport in this, right? And allow for the public to critique them. That's what accountability means for me, right? So I am able to accurately answer these questions because I am not so confident that we have those kind of statistics, especially being their responsibility to bring it to the public so that we can have public engagement to it. Someone will say, you have not read all of that. But like government did during COVID, right? We have to see a lot of those things where a minister is coming and say, I'm organizing this press conference to give an update of the state of youth participation in A, B, or C, and allow for that public conversation to happen. That's what I was saying about public conversation. Going back to something that was said previously, that's not particularly youth inclusion, but to helping us, celebrate our independence very well. One practical thing that comes to mind is if, like something of old, when people were going into poverty, there's that symbolism of doing all of those rites, right? But then they put the person, male or female, down and say, this is what puberty means. This is what it means for you. You can do this now, you cannot do this now. This is what the threats and opportunities are. What if, as a family unit, smaller family units, every Independence Day, like what a religious person does in their house on a Friday, going to mosque, or on a Sunday going to church, take our children to a national monument. Let them listen to the stories that are being told there. Let us come back and reflectively have a conversation of, what do you think about this Ghana? What do you think is going on? What do you think about these words in the national anthem? Let's have that time to reflect. Okay. And then to know what is going on in our progress now and how do we move forward.
Right. Very interesting submission. I'm going to just come around and let you give your final remarks. If I could get it in under 1 minute so we are not overrunning, because we're running out of time here. And I'd like to give the lady the first chance. So, Amtu, please let us know very quickly your closing remarks and exactly how you are contributing to building Ghana. Okay, I can't hear you again.
Hello, so please, I'd just like to say that in ending everything, right, I would encourage that we have like a lot more, should I say, inclusion to conversations, because I believe that that's like the only way. When we have conversations, then that's where like we can speak about policy, we can speak about what we think should be done, where we think we have lapses and all that. So I would round up and say that we have to try and equate our, as it were, independence to one of value and not just symbolism. Wow. So when we are equating it to one of value, then you start to scrutinize it by saying that I want to be recognized as one that is encouraging. I want to be recognized as one that is Ghana beyond aid. How is Ghana going to go beyond aid? Right now we have things like AF and the AFTA, so the AFCATA. So in AFTA, some of the things that the charters are looking at is youth and women inclusion. So Ghana as having the headquarters, am I considering having like youth doing enterprising things? Because if they are doing enterprising things, I'm hosting AFTA, that's direct benefit to me. And because I'm doing it and then I'm like should I say the beacon of hope for Africa, other countries are going to be able to say that, oh, Ghana is doing, then I can do it. Like how now we say, oh, Rwanda is looking great because they are doing this and they are doing that and they are doing that.
Thank you, Amtu.
People can also say that, oh, I'm looking up to Ghana to do this and to do that and to do that. Awesome.
I think what stood out for me there is value and not symbolism. How to make our independence one of value and not symbolism. That's a very profound statement. For you, Isaac, how are you contributing to making Ghana?
As I'm saying, I want to think about problem solving and finding skills. But I think beyond what I am doing, one thing I would like to touch on the conversation of who was founding father. History is always told by the winners, and it can become very political. And I think that is where we have our problem starting from, right? Kwame Nkrumah did not do very well in unionizing Ghana post-independence. And so we had those political factions that has led, even now, to NPP, NDC. We need to move beyond that. We need to be able to have a sense of national solidarity, and that is what I think this particular independence should be talking about, so that we start building back the love for Ghana, because that is love for Ghana is lost, and start telling the stories, start trying to unionize ethnic factions, trying to bring people beyond political factions, and let's talk about Ghana, the nation state, the union, and bring back the love and the commitment, because we don't have anywhere to go. That's it.
Thank you so much, Isaac Aboah. He's an entrepreneur. He's saying we should move beyond, begin to provide solutions, finding solutions to our problems, and bringing unity to the different factions, especially different tribes, different political divides in Ghana, and being able to collectively build Ghana forward. And then I'll just go to Adam Vine Tutu, who's the GIJ SRC president, for his closing remarks. How are you contributing to building the Ghana that we want, Adam?
Well, I think that I'm doing that in my own small way by bringing effective and then value-laden to my small community. And I think that that's one thing that we should all work on. As young people, we should be focused and very, very intentional with our contributions to building Ghana. In our small spaces, let's know and understand that whatever it is we are doing, in the larger picture, it's going to grow or destroy this country. I think that if as young people we are very intentional about our contributions, we get to understand the repercussion of our actions, and we are a bit more strategic and a bit more disciplined with the kind of decisions we take and the kind of actions we decide to embark upon. I think that that's the best way that we can grow as a country.
Thank you so much, Adam. Very profound statements from all our panelists. And to you at home, especially, we are sorry we could not open up the phone lines to hear your opinion, but we had so much to talk about and so much to say. And we hope that you've been able to pick up a few relevant points from this conversation that you can apply to your life and apply to building a better Ghana. We're going to continue so much about Made in Ghana, so much concerning Ghanaian film, culture, music, everything right here on MX24 throughout the month of March. Please stay tuned. My name is Nong Falong. On behalf of the entire team here at MX24 Television, we're grateful for your time. Good evening.